Kale assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh buli omu yosinzidde okubeera nga tugoberera Fahad Pro UG omukutu kwoli ku video takikiko likinga sharingirako abalala kabokisako naawe wansawo tekigenda kubeera kate osula endowooza ekusizira naawe ensonga bwogenda okubeera kate ozewulyako ensonga zetuliko ensonga za mukulembeze w'ekibiina ekya National Unity Platform endanga olunaku lw'ejjo omukulu oyo yasobodde okubeera nga temunange agenda wali mu EU Parliament nabeera nga temunange yeewozako ng'ayita ku nkola ya Zoom olw'ensonga nti yava nategeeza nti ali mu kubeera nga teyeekweka abakulu ab'enjawulo ne kubeera nga tebamuyiga era nga ne mmaka ge abasirikale abakiyengedde okubeera nga tebebulungululayo bagamba nti bamuyambako okubeera nga tebamukubira amaka era nga gyevuddeko waliwo minisita omu yavayo n'agamba nti Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu teri amunoonya era ffe kyetwagala kiri kimu twagala kubeera nga tetumukuumira amaka ge era abeere nga temunage akomawo mu nnyumba ye nga byonna byonna ebintu bye nga bwe yabirekamu kyamazima kiri nti agenda okuddanga ebintu ebyo mu ebiri kakatino waliwo minisita bamuyita Olyemu yavaayo sibbanga ddene nnyo oluvannyuma okubeera nga ate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu yagenda mu paliamenti eno guli omulundi ogwasooka ennaku nga 2-3 eziyise n'abako ensonga zeesobola okubeera nga ate ayogera mu EU Parliament era nga minisita Olyemu yavayo nategeeza nti omusango Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu gwakoze munene nnyo era nga omusango okubeera nga temunange alyamu ensi olukwe awaddira mu ggwanga lyettu Uganda agenda kubeera nga ate munange ensonga ezo atandika okubeera nga ate azeewozaako kakatino oluvannyuma okubeera nga ate omukulu ono yazzeeyo mu paliamenti omulundi ogwokubiri ate minisita Olyemu avuddeyo nabeera nga ate munange ensonga zino azirinnyamu zesobola okubeera nga ate ayogera era neyekyusa alina obubaka bwasobodde okubeera nga ate ayogera era ngenda kubeera nga tebikutirawawo osobola okubeera nga ate naawe ensonga ozewulirako azako n'obutambi bulala bungi nnyo ku nsonga nga zino okubeera nga tezitambula mu ggwanga lyettu Uganda abantu b'enjawulo basobodde okubeera nga teboogera ku miitingi oba ku kusisinkana kuno Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu yasobodde okubeera nga ate asisinkana ababaka ab'enjawulo mu paliamenti ya EU so byonna byonna ngenda kubeera nga tebikutirawo awo tula butuzi kalira subscribing akade notification bokako neko kajja kubeera nga teekakwalatinga buli wenda wendese video tulina shakashafu musomo wa dua inamba zisimuzibirawo wansawo ku bistika zomunoonyako ajja kubeera nga takulobera edduwa ebikyaganye bijja kubeera nga tebisumulukalawo obulamu bubeere nga tebukutambulira bulungi nnyo my dad sana kamere katembawo ensonga zino ate oluvannyuma zijje n'amawulire awulamangi yotemba.
I did not say Kyagulanyi was waiting to the charges. I said that what he has done is treacherous. It is treason. It's very offensive for Kyagulanyi. Having lost elections here, 71% of Ugandans rejected him for the position of the presidency of Uganda.
Bobi Wine abazungu bakukeneka. Bonaba amagezi njagaloddeyo tunuulira akatambi kano. Omuzungu ono wakubuuliza ebibuuzo ku Dr. Bileese. Atuuse n'okkubuuza nti okimanyi nti omwami ono ayina obuvunaanyizibwa n'omutango ku struggle n'oddamu nti ngwe. Oyina sacrifice ki na respect ki gyali. Nga n'ababaka be abaali bamubeezaawo n'okulabirira bafuutu soldiers ne baamulekwa abeFDC wabateekako abantu n'oteekawo n'amaanyi mangi okulaba nti obasiguukulula mu bifo. Bakubuuziza ku respect ki gy'oyina eri Dr. Bileese. Okimanyi ayina omutango ku struggle. Watuukako akaseera n'obaako byoleka nti kale oyo kaayitewo ku lwa Dr. Bileese n'ababaka ababe be yawandako eddusu nabo bennyini wabajja mu bifo. Waluma n'ogwengulu ku Lord Mayor Ssemujjuŋŋanda n'abalala ng'olwana kulaba nti osuula Dr. Bileese yennyini abazungu bakukeneka era essaawa yonna be bagenda okweyabiza nti okola ne Museveni kubanga bw'oba okimanyi nti Bileese mulwanyi munno lwaki wajjayo n'agengulu okugoba ababaka be yawandako eddusu mu kibuga okumusuuza ebyo ebifo ebyali bisobola okumuwanirira n'okulabirira baamulekwa abamuliiningako omuzungu kyabadde ategeeza lwakuba olabika oluzungu omanyi lutono. Ayino zisusse obungi. You know. Ojjanga weetegese mu debate zino. Kati bakuwozezzaamu. Bakirabye nti olwanyisa ne opposition banno. Olwanisa n'abali mu struggle banno abaakusookawo tobawa respect. Olinga eyajja okusaanyaawo opposition. Omusajja akubuuziza ku Bileese gye n'ayagala n'okukaaba. Omusajja ali mu kkomera ku lwa struggle. N'ababaka ababe ab'ekibiina kye abandibeezezaawo baamulekwa wabeera n'obateekako n'amaanyi amayitirivu. Nga kyakugamba tekyali kya buntu bulamu oba kyamagezi kusimba muntu mu kifo awali Dr. Besigye we yawangula. Tekyali kya magezi kuleeta muntu kumusimba ku bwa meeya n'olangira n'okulangirira nga we wali vacant ng'okimanyi nti omuntu oyo ye yamuteekawo ye Dr. Besigye naye gwe mulandira gwaliko okulabirira bamulekwa n'abaana ne bafuutu soldiers mu struggle ye.
Uganda is can be at the same time this country that is brings stability to the region by engaging with neighbors and by hosting refugees from neighbors. And at the same time being horrible to its own opposition to people that engage in civil society. In a way, this country has kind of a split personality, being good at this on the one hand and mean to the inside, and that this state is a state as a booty for the Museveni family, and the regime can be seen today. Today there was planned to be held a Catholic Mass in the Rubaga Cathedral for political prisoner, Dr. Kizza Besigye, and other political prisoners that has been cancelled on the last minute by the Archbishop, probably because he got a call that it would be wise not to do this. For me, this shows that this is not a free country. I can only say that for me, there's no transparency in those elections, and already acknowledging the results of such a fraudulent election is taking part in supporting a regime that is, from my point of view, not duly elected. So I think that we are already too positive on that note as a European Union. So it's said several times that the Ugandan constitution is very clear on the provisions, but apparently nobody cares, at least from those who are in the regime. So my question to our friends in Uganda is, what can we do further to support democracy and rule of law and human rights in Uganda, a part of doing what we do today, which is putting light to this situation. You request for targeted sanctions. My question to BAS is, what is hindering us if we know clearly that there are some people personally involved in abducting people, killing people, to put in place targeted sanction? These are my two questions to our esteemed guests. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there other colleagues who want to take the floor or not? Otherwise, I would like to give the floor back to Uganda, to Mr. Kuyangulani, Mr. Bobi Wine. Sorry for your family name is a little bit difficult for me to pronounce.
Yeah.
If you can give the floor first to you and then to Mrs. B. Reacher. Yes.
Sure. May I request that you repeat the question again, please?
So, Robert, first I said all the best for you personally and for your family, but I wanted to know a part of putting light on the situation and organizing meetings like this and calling for targeted sanctions. What else can we do in order to support you on the ground that are working for democracy in your country?
Thank you very much. I'll talk about what you can do from your end and what you can do from our end here in Uganda. From your end, of course, you can apply targeted sanctions. And I hear very many times regime apologists claiming that when you put targeted sanctions on individuals, it affects the nation. No, it does not. It saves the nation. You can slap targeted sanctions, travel sanctions, economic and legal, to the individuals, which individuals we have presented internationally, and others have actually come out themselves, like General Muhoozi, Museveni's son. You have laws like the Global Magnitsky, which has been applied to many human rights violators. We request that the same be applied to the regime back in Uganda. But also association. I mean, it slaps those who believes in democracy and human rights in the face when they see ambassadors or diplomats from the world-known democracies standing shoulder to shoulder with gross human rights violations. For example, imagine just a day or hours after General Muhoozi tweets taking pride in murdering people, in attacking people's families and undressing people and tweeting it, taking pride in killing. And then the next minute, you're going to see an official picture of an ambassador from a renowned democracy standing shoulder to shoulder. That is embracing, that is legitimizing impunity. And we call for a distancing on that. I mean, I've not seen an ambassador or an government official from a democracy standing shoulder to shoulder with Lukashenko or these other, renowned dictators. Also, we have requested that for all the aid that is extended to Uganda, let it be conditional. Let it be conditioned to respect to democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. That would be very helpful. If it is not possible to cut out any cooperation, of course, the best thing would be for a democracy to disassociate from anything that contradicts the same. However, if it is not achievable to completely disassociate, then at least let there be a minimum of demanded, reforms that can lead Uganda to a line of democracy. Thank you very much, friends. Greetings. I appreciate so much the opportunity. I want to appreciate the European Union Parliament for the resolution on Uganda and for keeping an eye on Uganda. We don't take it for granted. Every time we see development partners keeping an eye on what is happening here in Uganda. We also recognize that the EU is an important partner to Uganda, and we intend to maintain and also improve this partnership and this cooperation. We would also love to see this relationship happening between the people of Uganda and the European Union, not just General Museveni's illegitimate military regime. I'm still on the run. I'm still in hiding because of the continuing threats on my life since what happened on the 16th of January when my house was, my compound was raided and I fled my house. And also the following raid that happened on the 23rd of January where my wife was assaulted and my family members were assaulted, and the military took over my home, which the military still occupies to the present day. My home is surrounded and the military is in charge of it now. What happened on the 15th of January and the preceding days was not an election. It was a military operation, and I'm very glad that it was clearly stated during the debate in the European Union Parliament. This violence started much, much earlier. It started on nomination day, and it went on through the campaign trail. And I'm glad that the resolution mentions in specifics victims like Mesa Chokero, who was shot and killed, and also General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who is the military chief and the son of General Museveni, came out on Twitter and, mentioned how we killed 22 of our people, and hoping that I would be the 23rd. I must mention, though, that the numbers that he put are much, much less. Maybe he mentioned or he meant those that he killed personally. Otherwise, the numbers that we have of the victims, of the people that have been killed, are much, much, much more than 22. Many civil society organizations were closed down, especially those that are in the area of governance. It was mentioned, and I want to reiterate it again, that the internet was shut down 3 days before the election. Media houses were ordered not to relay the results that were happening and all that was going on ground on the polling stations, to ensure that there's a clear disconnect between what was happening on in the polling stations and what was being relayed by the Electoral Commission. I'm very glad that Dr. Sarah Birete is with us today. In this meeting, she was arrested, detained, because she was taking an effort to speak out and educate people, the citizens of Uganda, about their rights and on democracy. You know, I mentioned it that 2 of my deputy presidents were abducted on the eve of the election, and they remained missing for 3 weeks. We later learned that they were being detained in a military barracks, in a special forces military barracks, which is run by General Museveni's son, Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Most of our coordinators were arrested, were picked and detained. Some are still in detention, while some were dropped off. These also included officials from our election management committee. So what Mr. Byabakama, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, relayed was actually completely different from what happened on the grounds. The law requires that there must be coordination in the tallying of the results. That did not happen. The candidates were not given copies of declaration of result forms, and the Electoral Commission simply declared numbers that it did not justify where they were coming from. As we speak, we are still demanding that the Electoral Commission uploads the declaration forms so that the nation can be able to follow in transparency, so we can be able to compare the evidence that we have, the declaration of result forms that we have, to what was paraded by the Electoral Commission. But up to now, they have not uploaded the results on the internet like it's supposed to be. Somebody may ask, why then didn't we go to court? But we've mentioned it again that institutions in Uganda have all been destroyed, and including the judiciary. The manner of appointment of the Chief Justice recently is evidence to that. The Chief Justice was sworn in General Museveni's farm. So that and many other reasons cause us not to have, trust in the judiciary in Uganda, and many times the regime, General Museveni or his son, have actually been guiding publicly and sometimes privately, determining how the judiciary does its work. So we found no redress whatsoever in the Ugandan judiciary, and that's why we did not go to court. We have presented some asks which I want to reiterate here. We've asked for targeted sanctions that target particular individuals and regime officials that have, excelled in gross human rights violations. We believe that will curb their appetite in abusing, human rights, in undermining democracy, and to ensure that there's accountability for their crimes against humanity. Because I know we have other speakers on the platform, I want to appreciate you for the opportunity and to further call for more interest and for more attention to the people of Uganda. We really, really appreciate the attention, but we still request the international community to keep an eye on Uganda, to keep an eye on what is going on here in our country. I thank you for God and my country.
Thank you very much. I can promise we will do that. I make sure as the chair of the delegation EU Africa that we will keep an eye on Uganda and we will follow up the situation very closely.
Abalungi abatuuliriza era abatulaba olunaku olwaleero tuchaddeko ewa Sheikh Asiraf Dembe.
Sebo sanyusa okubalaba amannya agange Seeka Asiraf Dembe akola ku bizibu by'enjawulo. Omuntu singa aba alina ebirwadde tumusomereddwa, tumuwa amazzi ga lukuya nga bw'obadde ogalaba, tugenda abantu ku kyoto ne twokya emizimu emibi egibabaamu n'okulomba edduwa. Abantu singa abeera ng'ali wano atuuse sobola okumulombera edduwa, ne waba atatuuse nga mpadde amannya ge naye ng'ali wala. Neetaase enamba yange yeeno eri 0701763711. Nammwe bannyinaffe abali ebweru oyagala okuba nti oyagala okulombera ku dduwa ng'olina ebizibu, viza zibuze, amaka gakolongotana, sente zikola zimpita mu ngalo, ojja kumpeereza ekifaananyi kyo n'amannya go, ebyo byokka bijja kummala, nja kukulombera edduwa, ojja kutereera. Olunaku olusembayo mu mwezi mba n'edduwa eyawamu ffenna n'abalwadde bange abakadde n'abapya. Salaamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.